Container gardening is a fantastic way to grow vegetables, especially if you have a limited space. It's a method of cultivating plants in containers such as pots, buckets, and even recycled materials like old barrels and wooden crates. The beauty of container gardening lies in its versatility and adaptability. According to the National Gardening Survey conducted in the U.S. in 2020, approximately 9 million households reported growing vegetables in containers. This is a significant increase from the past. That many people wouldn't be growing in containers if they never grew food. So I'm going to show you how you can do just that. I'm Dr. Denise DeBusk, and in this video, I'll discuss the benefits of container gardening, the types of plants you can grow in containers, the types of containers you can use and what their size and depth should be, and the location of your containers. So grab your gardening gloves and let's get started. Let's first talk about the benefits of container gardening. I'm sure some of these are what attracted you to it. First, space saving. Container gardening allows you to grow plants in a limited space, making it a perfect option for those who live in apartments, condos, or have small yards. Next, containers can move around. You can easily move them, allowing you to adjust their environmental conditions like their light situation, temperature, or moisture. For example, if it is getting too warm outside for lettuce, you can move a container to a shadier area to reduce the stress on your lettuce. This will allow you to harvest more from that plant because it won't bolt so quickly. What is bolting? That is when a plant says it's time to start flowering, and when that happens, the leaves become bitter and you can no longer eat them. On the slide is a photo of what lettuce looks like when it's bolting. Container gardening allows you to control the soil quality and composition, which can lead to healthier plants. In Florida, I have really sandy soil that doesn't hold many nutrients, so the majority of my vegetables are in soil mixes rather than native soil. For container gardening, it is recommended to not use your native soil. Container gardening also helps prevent soil-borne pests and diseases from infecting your plants, making it easier to manage pest control. This is again because you are supplying your own soil, so the pests and diseases are not living in your soil in the first place. Container gardening is one of the big strategies I use when certain plants are susceptible to root knot nematodes, which are microscopic worms that live in the soil. On the slide is a photo of what root knot nematodes can do to the roots of vegetables. Container gardens can be quite pretty. Containers come in various sizes, shapes, and colors, making it easy to create a beautiful and functional garden that complements your outdoor living space. You can also create container arrangements, which I'll cover in another lesson. Container gardening also makes it easier for those with physical limitations or disabilities to enjoy gardening without the need for bending or stooping. Lastly, container gardening allows you to grow a wide variety of plants, including vegetables, herbs, and flowers, regardless of your geographic location or climate. Did you know that almost any plant that can be grown in the ground can be cultivated in a container? Whether it's annual vegetables, perennial flowers, succulents, or even dwarf fruit trees, container gardening offers endless possibilities. You can even mix and match plants with similar light and temperature needs to create a vibrant display. However, it's important to note that plants with invasive root systems, such as mint, bamboo, and berries, are better suited for container gardening to prevent them from spreading uncontrollably. While many vegetables can be grown in containers, some vegetables may not be ideal for container gardening due to their size, growth habits, and root systems. Here are a few vegetables that might not be suitable for container gardening. Corn is a tall plant that requires a lot of space, nutrients, and support. Growing corn in containers may not provide enough space for the roots to grow and may lead to stunted growth and small ears. Also, you need to grow a lot of corn close together all at the same time in order for successful pollination to occur. I grew 12 plants this season and it wasn't even enough to fill out the ears. Pumpkins can be quite large and have deep root systems, making them difficult to grow in containers. If you do decide to grow them in containers, you'll need to choose a large container and be prepared to water and fertilize frequently. Asparagus is a perennial vegetable that requires deep soil for its long roots. While it's technically possible to grow asparagus in containers, it may not produce as much as it would in a traditional garden bed. Brussels sprouts are a cool season crop that requires a lot of space and nutrients to grow. They can be grown in containers, but you'll need to choose a large container and be prepared to provide plenty of water and fertilizer. I've successfully grown them in Berkey buckets, but that is because of the ample water and fertilizer. Artichokes are another perennial vegetable that requires deep soil and plenty of space to grow. They can be grown in containers, but they may not produce as much as they would in a traditional garden bed. There are a variety of containers that can be used for growing vegetables, as long as they have adequate drainage and are large enough to accommodate the roots of the plants. Some examples include clay or terracotta pots. They are porous and allow for aeration, but also require more frequent watering. I have some of my herbs in a terracotta pot, and I put a moisture meter in there since they dry out so quickly. On the slide, I have a photo of that. This was after I pulled my dill out from the top because I usually have every spot full. Plastic, glazed, and cement pots are non-porous and maintain temperature and water at a more constant level. I like to use 5-gallon buckets and self-watering planters. Grow bags are commonly used. These are typically made out of polyethylene or woven fabric. They maintain temperature and moisture well. I like to grow my regular and sweet potatoes in them so that I can dump them and mine for potatoes. This green one in the photo has a window on the front with Velcro so that you can check to see if your root vegetables are ready. Other containers include wood planters that are made from cedar, cypress, or redwood. These are naturally resistant to decay. Repurposed wood can be used for gardens, but avoid any that are treated with arsenic-based preservatives for vegetables and herbs. Metal planters can get hot and may need more watering. You also have hanging baskets. People have gotten quite creative when it comes to container gardening. I've seen plastic garbage cans transformed into potato growing machines. Make sure you put drainage holes in it though. The way you grow potatoes is by putting pieces of potato in about 4 inches of soil, and every time it grows about 6 inches of leaves, you put 4 inches of soil over it. That way you would get a trash can filled with potatoes. You can also create vertical gardens with PVC pipe or pallets. You can find all sorts of DIY instructions on the internet. I saw this innovative idea of growing using clothespins as seen in this photo. There are also more traditional planter boxes, either elevated or on the ground. Vertical gardening is an excellent option for those who want to grow vegetables in containers in limited space. There are some systems for growing vegetables in containers vertically. Trellises are commonly used for plants that grow vertically, such as cucumbers, tomatoes, and pole beans. They are inexpensive and easy to set up. Simply tie the plants to the trellis as they grow, although some plants like cucumbers and beans may have tendrils that secure them to the trellis. Cages are commonly used for tomatoes. Stacking containers are a great way to grow vegetables in limited space. These containers are designed to stack on top of one another, which allows you to grow more plants in less space. You can use them for a variety of vegetables such as lettuce, herbs, and strawberries. This is how I grew my strawberries this year. The strawberries drape over the edge and they don't rot due to touching the soil. It also reduced the amount of snail damage compared to those in my garden beds. Tower gardens are another option for vertical gardening. Some systems are hydroponics so that you don't even need soil. The one on the slide is an example of a DIY version made from a pickle container. Tower gardens are ideal for vegetables such as lettuce, spinach, and herbs. I have a garden tower too on wheels so I can move it when needed. Wall-mounted containers are an excellent option for those who want to grow vegetables in a small space. You can hang them on a wall or fence, which allows you to use vertical space. Hanging baskets are a classic option for vertical gardening. You can use them for a variety of vegetables such as cherry tomatoes and herbs. I currently have my mint in a hanging basket. They even have these upside down bags for tomatoes where the tomatoes grow from the bottom. When selecting a system for growing vegetables in containers vertically, it's important to consider the type of vegetable you want to grow, the amount of space you have, and the amount of sunlight your plants will receive. With the right system, you can grow a well-producing garden in a small space. Here are more beautiful examples of utilizing space that I have found. This planter on top of a doghouse is a unique way to take advantage of unused space. The middle photo shows how a brick wall with a metal grid attached can be used to hang a variety of plants. The last photo shows how you can use PVC pipe for another purpose to make a series of hanging planters. When planning to grow vegetables in containers, it's important to select the appropriate container depth depending on the type of plant you want to grow. Consider both the mature root depth, the vertical space, and spread, the horizontal space, of the vegetable when determining the container size. For shallow-rooted plants like lettuce and succulents, opt for shallow containers. Deeper containers are generally better than wider ones because they allow for deeper root growth in order to search for water and cooler temperatures. Perennial plants usually develop large root systems, requiring deeper and larger containers. Also, taller plants tend to have larger root systems and require more space, making larger containers ideal. Some vegetables do better with certain minimum depths. Vegetables such as beets, lettuce, onions, radishes, spinach, and Swiss chard thrive in shallow containers, 6 to 9 inches deep. In medium depth containers, 12 to 8 inches deep, vegetables such as eggplants, peppers, beets, broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, celery, kale, peas, and beans do best. Reserve deep containers 18 to 24 inches deep for cucumbers, potatoes, summer and winter squash, and tomatoes. Keep in mind that you can always go deeper. I grow many different vegetables in 5-gallon buckets. To ensure that your plants receive the appropriate amount of sunlight or shade, it's important to place containers in the right spot. Most vegetables require at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight every day, while other plants may prefer full or partial shade. If your plants need to move with the seasons, consider using a furniture or plant dolly to transport heavier containers. Keep in mind that a south-facing wall may be too hot for certain plants that prefer cooler temperatures, but it could be perfect for heat-loving plants. To prevent overheating, elevate containers off of hot cement using plant trivets, wood, or bricks. In summary, container gardening provides ample benefits including space saving, mobility, and environmental adjustments. Most vegetables can be grown in containers with only a few exceptions. There are a variety of containers that can be used for gardening. To maximize your space, you need to capitalize on the vertical space. Lastly, when it comes to growing vegetables, deeper containers is more important than wider. So choose wisely. Refer to the shopping list to help you get started with setting up your container garden.